So interesting property, 1960s, fairly central London. It's got communal heating system, so it's nice and warm, but it's very, very humid. And there's mold and condensation everywhere. There's cold water in the room but next to the bedroom. There's dampness along that whole of that central wall, but there's also dampness on the outside walls in the form of condensation and mold. Have a look at the survey. You may disagree with me, but in my experience, the best way of dealing with these is to try, test, and see what the results are like. And it can take months and it can be frustrating, but I don't believe it's the heating system leaking, but there is a possibility. Radiator has never worked, apparently.
Switch it on. So
You've never switched it on?
Yeah, so we don't know if it's working or not.
Okay.
We never switch it on.
And there's obviously dampness and, well, if the radiator's never switched on, that's not a great thing. This radiator is off. Lots of condensation behind, and there's, you can see the condensation there. So there's condensation on the back of the radiator, which is opposite the damp wall. I've turned it on, and I would imagine there's condensation forming behind the fridge. Let's have a look.
Right, I just let you know. First just come basically like here, this part, and then from this part.
When did it first start showing?
Was sure around like I think more than 6-7 months ago.
Yeah,
and I send a lots of email, loads of email, and nobody take care about.
Okay,
and
then
and then from that it started to came also on the dump patches in the bedroom, in the living room, and it started to expand.
So where this is the central wall between the kitchen and the living room. I mean, it looks like a leak, and I think the only water system you've got here is the radiator, and it's communal heating system. So you're not going to tell. There's some mold there. You're not going to. You're not going to tell whether. There's obviously going to be mold up there. So there's condensation forming on the cold water pipe. I'm just looking to see if I can turn off the stopcock. It smells of mould. In fact, you can see some down there. You can see lots of condensation forming on the cold water pipe. And on this pipe, look at the wall there. It's all condensation there. If I turn this off, but that. Yeah, can you see if it? Can you turn the water off in the bathroom? What do you do for drying clothes in winter? What do you do for drying clothes? You put it on the clothes rack, in the bedroom, the kitchen, the dining room?
Usually we put near dove metti i panni ad asciugare. When it's sunny.
No, salon.
When it is sunny, but as well if it's cold, we're gonna put them outside. And
When it's cold.
I mean,
when it's
when
cold,
it's sunny day, but
E quando piove?
in the
No,
yes,
quando
in the
piove,
sun.
cioè io I'm inside, but
Okay. And so it stops when the lights are turned on. Okay. Can you turn it off now?
Now I don't know.
That's okay. I mean, we don't need this part.
Now you can got more air.
Better airflow. Dirty. So this is after cleaning it up. Oh, look at that.
So.
You need to use a dehumidifier when drying clothes internally. That's it, but yeah, oh, 12 probably. It's 12 litres, you need 20 litres per day. You need a better dehumidifier.
This is very easy go become full in very short time.
Yeah, well, you need to have a bigger one with a better, higher capacity and use it whenever drying clothes.
Usually we got on always.
Oh, sorry, please, after you.
We-
Working
Now after years we think this doesn't work properly because before it was working in a
It's
way
10.
and now work in another way.
Okay. It feels really humid in here anyway, and I could see the numbers are very high. When you've got a solid floor like this, if the wall gets wet because of condensation, because you can see condensation on the pipework
Yeah,
in the kitchen. If you look under the sink, you
there
can
is.
see
I saw
condensation.
before.
And if the condensation falls onto a solid floor,
Yeah.
it can't go anywhere. It just goes along the floor to wherever it hits
Wherever it's able to.
wherever it's able to. And in this case, it's the middle wall. But
Because this apartment is doing like this. So basically work like that. Yeah, I can see because if you put something, go down. And
So-
the same over there.
so you've got a lot of risks, but you've got a lot of solutions. So I've improved the bathroom extractor fan by about 3 times. I've
Okay.
increased the speed by cleaning it. Well, you were cleaning it. I delegated that. By taking out those bits and cleaning it on the inside, and it's improved it dramatically. But you need to keep it running for half an hour with the door closed. Yeah,
Okay.
on the bathroom door
So we
closed.
cleaning like a few, I mean, last
Open.
month, so when the landlord.
Closed.
Close
You want so
after
vapor-
shower.
close the door
And
keep
go
it,
on.
and keep it open, light on if you can, or maybe the window slightly open. But the reason why is vapor moves through diffusion like smoke. If somebody was smoking in the bathroom and you had the door open,
Yeah.
you would smell it here in the main room quickly. Yeah. And vapor will just move. Like you know, if you go to a concert and they have dry ice, it's just moving, just going everywhere, isn't
Yeah.
it? And like clouds, that's vapor. And it's moving to the cold part. And the particular issue you have with fridges, and I'm going to ask you to move it away from the wall a bit, is that the vapor from cooking will get into the fridge. It drips down. It hits the motor underneath, which powers the fridge, and then evaporates out. That's its function. But if it's close to a wall, which it is, and if it's close to anywhere metal or cold, then it can cause condensation. So you want to reduce the risk of condensation. You want to, with the data loggers, I'm going to analyse them, but I'm going to be asking you to, if you have a look on your phone, to look at the dew point and to try and keep the dew point below the outside temperature by ventilation. So that number there,
Yeah.
is high. It's very high. And if the outside temperature is 10 degrees centigrade today, you'll have somewhere where the outside temperature is being reflected internally. So, for instance, the cold water pipe water will come in at 8 degrees centigrade roughly. So, if it's 8 degrees centigrade and the dew point is 11 or 10.83, 14.83. It means that you've got a risk of condensation and we saw condensation on the cold water pipe.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of ways of solving it, but keeping that number below the outside temperature by ventilation. And you don't have any ventilation in the kitchen, and I'm going to recommend that ventilation
We
is
asked
put in.
from the beginning. We
And nothing was
in
put
this
in,
flat.
Yeah, but I mean, would it be nice
Anyway,
if you can...
Claudia.
So it shows me where the hot and cold zones are.
Okay.
But if I can go through into the kitchen. So the radiator is just starting to warm up here. There's a lot of heat loss. That's obviously very cold down there. That's condensation there. So the fridge, we're going to need to bring that away from the wall a bit because you get lots of risk of condensation in there. This is the kitchen, and we're going to have a look to see what other flats do in this block, this design, but you really should have ventilation. One solution is to go through the windows, but it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
Usually when we cooking or where we are inside the kitchen, we take the window open, not just from down.
But you want to keep the door closed as
Like
well.
this?
Yeah, I mean, when we are cooking...
We closing the door, otherwise I make beep
It's good to have
everything.
the trickle vent open as well. Doesn't make a lot of difference, but it goes in the right direction.
Not a lot.
I'm going to ask you to do 3 things, but in addition, a number 4, and that is in the kitchen, always cook with the door closed and the window open. And if you can cook with tops on top of the pots and pans, and turn the heat down. Boiling pasta, it doesn't matter if it's boiling ferociously or just a quiet simmer, it's still 100 degrees centigrade and cooks as quickly. The second one is keep the bathroom door closed and the fan on, ideally for more time or keep the light running over a run for half an hour after using the bathroom.
It's not a problem, it's LED.
LED, so you can leave it the whole time, but for half time. And then when drying clothes internally, use both dehumidifiers, because in combination they're 22 litres, but they're 10 and 12 litres next to the drying clothes. And personally, I keep a dehumidifier running 24/7 the whole time.
All the time.
Yeah, and it's just my daily habit is to take the water out of the
things,
and the tank, and then do it. But in addition to that, I want you to monitor the relative humidity. At the moment, it's going to be showing the data on the wall. So with one of them, maybe turn it around the other way so that it's because at the back of it, you've got the sensor. So if for the bedroom one, just turn the sensor so that it's away from the wall, opposite the wall. Yeah. And you want to just keep the dew point below the outside temperature, or as much as you can. If it goes below 0, it's more or less impossible to, but for most of the time, do it.
All right. What I would like to say, usually when we dry the clothes, they are almost dry from the washing machine.
I know, but there's still some dampness in it. You know, the extra weight in washed clothes, the extra weight is water.
Okay.
You know, if you think of like sheets, you know, it weighs roughly 3 times the amount when it's wet compared to when it's dry, and an extra kilo is 1 litre of water. and it may be just 1 extra litre of water that's in the wall here. So, you know, it's like
So
the
what
camel's
he
back.
said is to take both of
Yeah,
them,
I
one
got
on the
you.
side, one
I'm
on the
listening.
Okay, and but keep an eye on it. I'm putting everything on the internet. Put a comment on there. If you find that my recommendations are working, say brilliant. You know, perfect. I will be putting more recommendations into the report, but just say, yeah, worked, fantastic, problem solved, or not. But I believe 95% that that's the cause. The only other concern is the heating system, whether you've got a leak on it.
It's the main problem because it's communal and it's always on during the sun time. So can be, even if we close everything, gonna be hot this environment in the night because the heating itself.
Yeah, but the great thing about that is it means that you can keep the windows open and not really feel the cold.
No, we always
We
keep.
always keep this flat
Because
very
I-
ventilated. It's this door is always open when we are home, and also the door in the bathroom. It's
like that for create.
But even at night,
yeah.
what you
No,
can do is there's a lock. There's a lock here,
Yes.
so you can lock it
Ah
closed.
no, but in the night we close. Yeah. Just
But
the night.
but most of the issues are going to happen at night. You can leave it locked and open. You don't need a key, but if you have a key, you can double lock it.
We don't have a key.
No, we.
But
We
this,
don't
you
have
can
a
leave
key.
it. That's locked. If you go onto the outside, then you can't get into that. I mean, if somebody wanted to get in, they would just
Okay.
put a brick through the window. But it's, you know. I
You
won't-
cannot open if it's like that.
No, you can't.
and also the other thing is if
You
you
just show me.
yeah.
So.
We didn't know as well. We can do that.
And the other thing is, if you go away for long periods of time, leave the dehumidifier. It's got a little drain at the back.
Yes.
You need to get a little pipe, but like an ordinary garden hose will normally work. And you drain it. You leave it running and draining into the sink. Yeah, it will cost maybe 50p a day to run it, and you set it to 70%.
And where should this?
Yeah, you undo that, and you have it. And that's then
Oh,
then you
Claudia,
Yeah.
there is a new word Simon showed us.
I see that, but I didn't know how.
I didn't know.
can-
What
you need to have a pipe on
I
there.
didn't know what
And then-
Metti un tubo.
Yeah, doable.
what.
So, like many of my surveys, this is a relatively complicated one. The issue is high vapour in the property from insufficient ventilation, in particular the bathroom that wasn't working well and doesn't have an overrun, which I've improved the performance of the bathroom fan by cleaning out the fly grill. But you want to keep the bathroom door closed with the vent running for as long as possible. The kitchen is not vented out and there's a lot of steam there. And the problem with steam is it will get into the fridge, it will condense behind the fridge, and then it will come out as vapor, and it's condensing actually behind the radiator, and you could see it there on that internal wall. So have a look at the data loggers and bring your internal vapor down. That's the dew point below the outside temperature, which is this pink line. Have a look at it. I'll update it daily, and I'll be recommending a kitchen extractor fan, as well as following all the other recommendations that I put into the report. Have a look at the description. And if we use the data logger, so these are the these are the logs that you sent over. If we compare the living room to the bedroom, you can add in your own external data. It doesn't matter which part of the world you're in. So the temperature at the time of the survey was 16.2, and it was on the 16th at 10 a.m. I try and do it outside of time when I was doing the calibration. So you can see this is the surface relative humidity of the data logger in the living room, and it's exceptionally high, but it is close to a wall that's drying out, but even so, it's exceptionally high. And look at the internal dew point, the dew point inside, that is averaging around 15 degrees centigrade, so exceptionally high. You need to bring that down all the way down below this pink line here, which is the outside temperature. The vapor outside this line here has the dew point there. So if you had perfect ventilation, then the indoor vapor would be replaced by outdoor vapor, and you would have you wouldn't have internal condensation. This line here is the dew point differential. It tells me when one room has more vapor than another room. So there's similar amounts here, but it's the living room. So there's a lot of time spent in the living room around the 20th compared to the bedroom. And then by contrast, it drops down here. You'll understand your own habits. You can zoom in on an actual day and sort of better understand why it was on that day. It can be a number of factors, not least condensation removes vapor from the air. So what I want you to do is focus on increasing ventilation, dehumidification to bring this down. It will take a while for a damp property to dry out because vapor will be coming off the wall itself. Anyway, that's the focus, and go and refer to this regularly and look at the bbc.co.uk/weather for daily updates.